Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tears Tulle Talk, a new podcast that is all about showing up from your perfectly imperfect life to celebrate your magic. I am here with a longtime friend, Karyn Lindquist, who is one of our first ever Tears Tulle Trailblazers. I'm so happy to have you here, Karyn.
I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a mom, first of all, and a wife, and God, we've known each other since we were tiny little kids. I am a blogger, although I let that slide for quite a long time. So I was excited to have an excuse to start up again with you. I work full time. I'm still working during the pandemic, so we're all just trying to get through right now.
Yes, it's like a new reality. It's like a roller coaster lately for our family.
Yes.
It's up and down and up and down and, just trying to shelter in place. And it's funny, like those first couple of weeks, I felt like I had all this time to do all these things, and then life kind of speeds up a little bit, and we started with some different home projects and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
So it has a way of speeding up again, I think.
It does, yeah. Yeah, Todd started strong with our home projects, and now it's like, all right, I'm ready to go back to work.
Right. Or to take really long naps. I go in between
Exactly.
things.
Exactly.
So I mentioned that you were one of our first ever Tears Tulle Trailblazers. And for those listening who don't know what the Tears Tulle movement even is, it's a women's empowerment movement that follows tulle skirts all over the world and celebrates, people that are showing up from within difficult times to connect with their magic anyway, especially then. So we do this Tears and Tulle sort of moment at the beginning of each podcast, which shows how you're showing up in life right now. And this is how it works. You say something that you either love about yourself or something's positive, and then you say, even when this happens, and then we say, especially then. So I know that I sent you that question ahead of time, and I would love to hear what your Tulle, even when, especially then moment is.
So my even when, I actually have a couple.
Oh, awesome.
I was nervous, so I made notes just in case. So my even when is even when I have to listen to my body, I'm strong, especially then. Because I did this specifically to talk about lupus, which I have, with a couple other autoimmune diseases. And I wanted to I don't talk about it generally, or at least a lot. So I don't really know what I was hiding. So that was sort of one thing I wanted to do with this. So my even when is when I have to listen to my body and slow down. And I know that I'm being strong even then, especially then.
Especially then.
Especially then. But, funny ones, even when I forget or I have to reset my password to everything every single time, I am still smart, especially then.
Yes, I can so relate to that one. I will be having full-blown conversations with my computer or with Google. I know this is what I put in there. I know it was, my birthday and this and that, and it had the exclamation point on it. And,
Yes.
I'm arguing with my computer about it. So
it becomes like a family affair here. What did I use last time?
Exactly.
Let's see. Oh, I have one more.
Awesome.
So even when I don't shower on the weekends, I'm still beautiful, especially then.
Oh my gosh, this is the realest thing I've ever heard on here. Yes, oh my gosh, can I add to that? Even when I wear my husband's sweatpants the whole weekend and don't shower, especially then. I'm
Exactly.
Yes. Oh,
Weekends are all I have now, so.
Yes, that's amazing that you're still working through this whole pandemic. And yeah, my son is a grocery store employee, so he's a
Oh,
cashier at Whole Foods, and so I just kind of pray and love and send him off. But my hat really goes off to all of you essential workers that are showing up and still getting things done. And even though it's a scary time for a lot of us, there's a lot of uncertainty and so much negative press in the media that, these stories are just so sad sometimes. And I like that we are starting this podcast. We're not forgetting the sad things or the hurtful things, because that's the tears part of Tears and Tulle, but we're also celebrating, the magic and the good that's happening in the world too, which I think is
right.
just as important to recognize right now.
And there's a lot of good right now. It makes me so happy to see, these kind things people are doing.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about your Tears and Tulle experience. I didn't know what to expect, and I got your email with your pictures and your story in it. And first of all, I connected right away with your location. I grew up going to that type of location a lot too. So it was like, oh my gosh, someone is remembering this and celebrating it. And I think connecting with so many people in the world, because I think a lot of us had similar experiences. So I would love to hear everything about your Trailblazer journey that you are comfortable sharing with us.
So when I signed up, I wasn't sure where I was going to take the photos or what exactly I was going to do. I didn't want to do outside. It seemed like, a lot of people were doing outside, which is beautiful, but I wanted to do something that sort of spoke more to me. And a library came right away, right as I started thinking about it, because that's literally where I grew up. So we started at the Chicago Heights Library, which is where I spent my entire childhood, but they were closed. So we moved on, and we ended up at Homewood Library, which I spent time there too. So, but God, I spent so much time there, like reading books and rereading books and sitting on the floor there and going through card catalogs and like with friends, without friends, doing homework. It was like just my happy place. Like the smell of a library when I walk in, it's like magic to me. And so I knew I wanted to write when I was little. Like that's just reading so many books. I knew that I wanted to do something with writing. And I've sort of always done something, whether I, put it out there or not, ever since I was young, writing like little short stories or poems or, and then I started this blog a couple of years ago about my lupus. And I sort of stopped for a while. I wasn't doing well with it and having a hard time writing, and lupus affects your mind. So I was having a hard time coming up with words, and it was too frustrating. So I stopped, but I never really tried again. And so I wanted to go back to the library and sort of find the magic back there, which I did. And it was so fun. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I was a wreck pulling up to the library. I mean, I sat in the car and I was seriously like having a panic attack because I'm such an introvert. I'm not that person that wants attention. So pulling up in this huge tulle skirt was super stressful. But I was like, oh God, I'm going to see somebody and they're going to be like, what are you doing? So that was stressful, but I had my husband Todd with me, and he is the calming force in our family. He is the even-keeled, calm person. So he was the perfect person to take my photos. And, he was like, it's fine, we can do this, sit here for a minute, and it's no big deal. And finally, I just was like, let's just go. We're just going to do this.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like you just got to decide, like, get out of the car. And once you get out of the car, like, what, it's done. Like, let's do this. So I mean, it was fun. It was actually a lot of fun to walk around in there, and people were looking. And at one point, it just sort of like everything just sort of zoomed out, and it was just like me and Todd in the library, like having fun, and him, being a photographer, which I think he had fun with.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was exciting and nerve-wracking and fun. And then once the pictures were taken, and both of my sons did the edits for me because they're both photographers. They did not want to do the photos, though, because I think they were embarrassed of their mom, which is fine.
Then you're on the right track, girl. You know that you're on the right track.
Exactly.
I'm saying this from experience, trust me.
I know I'm clearly the most embarrassing parent. It's fine. I don't mind that. But once I saw the edits, it was, and I actually sat down to write because I procrastinated for sure on writing. It's scary to tell my story. And it's scary to put it out there because, like I said, I'm an introvert, and, I don't share a ton. So this is something big for me. And even with like work people, only like 2 people knew before this that I had lupus. Some people knew that something was wrong, but not exactly what. I wear the mask and I hide what's happening every day. So it was really actually cathartic to write it out and to put it out there. I mean, I was nervous, but no negativity. Once it was out there, it was, everyone was super supportive of, of just everything I wrote, which was exciting.
Yes, I think I even realized after you sent your story, I went to your blog, and then we posted it on our website too. How much I, first of all, didn't know about lupus. Like I knew lupus existed. I didn't know all the details about lupus. I didn't even know, and I've known you for years, that you have lupus. So I was so excited that so many people were going to be able to read this and not only get to know you a little bit better, but also women who might be going through similar experiences like you are would be able to, feel connected in that way and feel like there is a platform where they can stand up and take that mask off. And,
right.
And there's this one picture of you in the library where you're in between like a row, it's like a row of books, and you're just like standing in the middle of the aisle, and there's like this little bit of light there, and it's like just watching your story come out of you or something. Like it just symbolizes everything that came together with this project. And I'm so happy to call you a friend and be able to sort of witness this, like I feel like you kind of like came out of this cocoon. They're absolutely beautiful. I love being able to read and learn from you, and I'm so excited to see what you create next, what I get to see Karyn Lindquist do next in the world. And on that note, you know what, Karyn, would you tell listeners just a little bit about what lupus is, so that anybody that doesn't know has an idea, and then they can go and read your blog and learn all sorts of things. But for anybody like myself who didn't really know, are you comfortable sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah.
This is a good platform for that, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And there, people know the word lupus, but they really don't have any idea what it is. Lupus is autoimmune, and what it is your body attacks itself. So your body's supposed to attack, viruses and anything negative in your body, but my body does not understand that, and it attacks healthy cells. So it's constantly attacking everything. So for lupus, you have to take biologics usually. And so what those do is those take down your immune system, because mine is overactive. So it makes it underactive, which is when it starts to also get dangerous, because then you're susceptible to everything. So you're either one way or the other. You can go into remission, which I have not been lucky enough to do. We're still sort of playing around with medicines, and it's been that way forever. But it's super hard to diagnose, because they call it the great imitator. So it imitates so many other diseases. It took me, I think, 5 doctors and around 7 to 10 years before I finally got like an actual, this is what this is. You know, we sort of had an idea, but it went from, you know, it could be rheumatoid arthritis, it could just be fibromyalgia, but then, you know, lab work and stuff. It's stressful, and it affects everything from your organs to your nervous system to your kidneys, your kidney function. So they're always checking to see, every 3 months I get blood work just to see and make sure everything is still okay. Strangely, I had a seizure, oh gosh, maybe 7 years ago, and that was crazy. It was a grand mal, and like at the time was, you know, the worst thing. And I was in the car with Sarah, and it seemed insane at the time, but then that actually was like the thing that pushed me over, where my doctor said, this is what this is, it's lupus. Like that was the one thing that really got me the diagnosis. So I'm super thankful that I had it. And so now I'm on medicine to, you know, keep that under control as well. But it's not well known. You know, people don't understand. I think a lot of people also think like you're allergic to the sun. That's sort of a myth out there, which is not true, but the sun sets you into flares. So I am PC and I will be forever, because I cannot get too much sun, or either I go into a flare where everything swells up, or I just am exhausted, and that's it for a couple days. So it's a disease where you start to look at everything and think, okay, this all sucks, you know, and you have to grieve all the stuff you can't do. I'm an athletic person, and I'm not anymore. But you pick and choose your battles. So if there is something I want to do, I do it, and know that the next couple days will be very rough, and that's fine, because it's worth it to me. So
Thank you so much for sharing. I think you're right. I think it's not well known, and just people understanding it a little bit better, and you coming from this vulnerable, this real place with it, I think is so empowering and has the potential to help other people feel empowered and inspired too. I just had the craziest memory. I know you've heard this memory before, but I first learned about lupus from a soap opera, of all things. Someone in a soap opera had lupus, like when I was a kid, and I'm like, oh, there's this thing called lupus, but I didn't really know anything about it. And then one of my oldest memories of you was you asking me in your parents' kitchen whether or not I watched General Hospital. You were a few years older than me, and I was like, oh, she watches General Hospital just like me and my mom, you know. And then that memory always pops up, but I just remembered the lupus one. And it's funny how life comes together that way, and it's all sort of, I don't know, connected on some level. And talking about my mom and thinking about your family, and I'm wondering who in the world is inspiring you these days. If you have someone that, well, I know one of them for sure for you is Glennon Doyle and her path of, like, I know that that's one because I follow her religiously, and I love what her and Abby are doing. So I'm if that's your pick, then that's fine too, but I know that that's one of them.
That is one of them. I have a couple actually. She's for sure one, and I finished her newest book, which I think has changed me in ways that I did not think possible. I think I earmarked every other page in that book. It's incredible. Untamed is her book. So she's really one. I followed her forever. And there's also a woman on Instagram. She goes by the Joy Warrior. I actually started following through Glennon, and she's amazing. She has all of these conditions with her nerves, and honestly, you think she has every right in the world to be angry with everything. And she has really, like, we've become friends now, and she's amazing. Like, she is the person that helps me find the little joys, and she's that person that any little thing she can find joy in, she does, which I think is the most amazing thing. And she really helped me get to that place, for sure. And then
And what's her Instagram? What was her Instagram again?
It's the Joy Warrior.
The Joy Warrior. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, she's amazing. And then my parents, I know my parents. My dad, about 7 years ago, went in the hospital to get his toe removed, and it ended up after like 5 surgeries having his leg removed from the knee down, and it has been an uphill battle for him ever since. It's still not where it should be. He still has to get new legs, and he has never lost his sense of humor. He has never lost his same personality. He is still the same funny, strong, crazy person doing stuff he should not be doing. And my mom is like a saint. She has taken care of him. She is literally attached at his hip. She does everything. And she's been so strong through it all. Like, she could have just crawled into a hole and said, I can't do this. And she has never like wavered at all. She does everything for him, and it's all him first. And I find that amazing. And it's not that she does it as like a martyr. She does it truly because she wants to do it. And it's amazing to me. They are like the perfect, sweet couple that's still in love. And so they're really, like, seeing them so strong makes, me want to be that strong.
I love your parents. My father-in-law just got his prosthetic a couple days ago, and
oh wow,
you don't know this, but we've been talking about your dad a lot around here, because I always say, okay, you have to go to Karyn's page, and then you have to go and you have to look at her parents, then you have to see what he's doing. And he's had this really crazy journey where he was in this thing, and then he had it was just like very good for us at the time to see somebody else who is struggling but is still showing up. And I think that's so Tears Tulle. Like, what your parents are doing right now is Tears Tulle. Life is not easy for them with everything that's going on with your dad, and they're still showing up and celebrating their love and setting an example for other people. And I think you and I are both very lucky in that way, that we've had parents that have been able to set really good examples of what that looks like. For sure. Yes, your parents, oh my God, the cutest couple. Yeah, I think they're the same about yours. So
sweet.
All right, I can't believe we're almost at time. So I'm wondering.
That went fast.
It did. I'm wondering what, if anyone wanted to find you online, like the name of your blog, and then what plans you might have moving forward in the future to connect with your magic, to connect with your Tears Tulle. I think I know one thing that might be in the works, but I don't want to give it away if it's not time for that yet. So yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
So my blog is Loopy Mama. I'm starting again. So I'm in the middle of writing something for my next blog post, which I'm excited to continue because it is helpful for other people to see, like, oh, hey, you know, she's in pain all the time too. And she still shows up and she still has some sort of a life. But my dream has always been to write a book. And so I'm starting, I never really could see like how I could do that. To me, it seemed really daunting. And I'm finally sort of I'm finally sort of planning it and seeing it doesn't have to look like a regular book that everyone else has written. Like it can be different, and that's exciting for me because it really seemed like too much. Like, how can I put chapters together? I don't have enough to say for like this long chapter. And so I think I'm finally excited and ready to like write things down and start the process, which is crazy to me because I never really thought it would happen. I've always said it, but you know, I've gone from, you know, I'm going to write about this to I'm going to write about this. And, you know, now I finally settled on, I want to write about my lupus and I want to write something uplifting, but also honest. So I'm excited to do that.
And you've been training your whole life in the library for this moment.
I know.
So I'm pretty sure you got it. Oh my gosh, that library smell. I can totally relate to that. It's funny. My son, you and I both grew up as, I call myself a volleyball orphan sometimes, but we both grew up in volleyball families. And my son would go to Bloom's field house with me when he was real little, and I would play volleyball there. And he would say, the smell of the field house is the best smell in the whole world. And I was thinking, you know, I can relate to you because the library is that for me too. When you smell the library, it's like I could just see me spending afternoons there, or you know, my mom lived there when I was a kid. So it has a very special connection. I really loved reading your stuff and connecting with that part of you. So thank you. Thank you. All right, we are about at time. Thank you for sharing your heart with us and for being part of Tears Tulle Talk. And I can't wait to see what you do next, Karyn.
Thank you. And thank you for starting this movement because it's needed, I think, especially now. It's huge. And people are really showing up for it, which is super exciting to see.
Yes, it's evolving in ways I couldn't have imagined. And so I'm just trying to make space for what that means and allow it to sort of grow organically and step back and let people tell their stories. So yeah, it's been cool for sure.
Yay.
All right, lady, I will see you soon.
All right, thank you.
Bye, Karyn.
Bye.